All right, everyone, welcome back to another episode of Nerdsters of the Universe. I'm Kerwin,
And I'm Pizza.
and oh man, season finale of Star Trek Strange New Worlds.
Oh my God, it was awesome. I had to sit back for a minute when it was every time it was coming on today, everything, every Easter egg, every little I was like, I was screaming with everything.
And for those for those who never did the home, did the deep dive. Wow. For those who didn't do the deep dive and try to like figure out star dates to get a time frame, because that's possible considering every episode starts with a log. But we actually got a definitive 7 years.
Yeah.
7 years prior. Definitively, no
yep,
question.
right in there now. Yep. 7 years of balance and terror.
Man,
that was oh my God. Every little thing about that. When it came on and he met the one kid, I thought, okay, that was all right. But then when he got back to his room and he came around in the Monster Maroons, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Something else for fans to make now because they got to fix the sleeves or whatever.
Oh, I was like, that's not right. Uh-oh, Pike, what'd you do?
Well, for later on it was because you figure if he was an admiral by then because he was wearing admiral.
Oh, no. It was right in his rank.
Yeah.
But Pike will never don.
No, he'll never have that uniform.
The Monster Maroons. That's
yeah,
pretty far in his future type.
Oh,
so it was like,
oh, no. Uh-oh, what are we doing?
What you do, Pike? You messed up.
At first, I thought they were going to change canon and change something, and I had that little, I had that little look on for a minute, and then when he explained it, I was like, oh, here we go. And I went through the whole thing.
You can't do this. And then when it shows him as the captain of the Enterprise, we're like, oh, we know what he fucked up on.
Yep.
Like if Kirk did not become captain of the Enterprise during the 5-year mission, how many situations in the original series did Kirk help, get out of? It's like the whole Voyage Home, Wrath of Khan, Then again, Space Seed would have happened differently, so that could have been different.
Then they would have had well, you had Errand of Mercy, you had the Journey to Babel because that would have probably went different with Spock's father on the thing. They had the one with Core, Errand of Mercy with the Harkonnens or whatever they are on that planet, the Klingon War that Kirk did. Oh, there was so much.
But I mean, just in that aspect, no one could say, well, Kirk wasn't definitive in those, but at the same time, you've got Spock and Sarah and Cybok situation.
Yeah.
You've got for Star Trek 5, but you got Voyage Home for Star Trek 4.
Yeah.
Would Pike have done the slingshot maneuver? And who knows? But a big one be Undiscovered Country, because part of what made Undiscovered Country work is the events that happened in Search for Spock with
the Klingons and everything. Yeah,
son dying, and being able to have that other view and everything. So I mean, the whole canvas is different. And if the war reignited with the Romulans, where would that even lead when it came to, DS9 storyline?
With the Dominion War, and the Romulans were allies.
Where would that have led to? And I mean, just so many other aspects.
Oh yeah. I was like, ooh. Just and then the big cliffhanger at the end.
We saw that one coming.
I knew that was going to happen when he mentioned it. In the little thing. Where's Una? And Spock said. And then they sent his girlfriend to come and arrest her too. That was what got me. Spoilers, Oh,
Yeah.
someone else is here too. Who else is here?
Hello, everybody.
Everything about that episode. I mean, and they showed when you watched Ready Room that they matched some of the scenes from this show with the original Errand of Mercy.
Oh yeah, I will say one thing I loved about it was the lighting.
That's what they did. That's what he said.
They brought in, you know, they didn't have it be all flashy, bright. Ooh, I don't like dark shows. Hey Lynn, what's up?
Hey Lynn.
Hey, works for us.
That's fine.
I don't like the shows when they're dark because a lot of times I'm having to watch it with my Bluetooth headset on my phone, and when it's really dark, it's sometimes is a pain. Like a majority of last week's episode with the Gorn, I was having trouble seeing some of it because it's at night, it's fine, but most of the time, the way I watch these is I'll take a 10-minute break, watch 10 minutes of it, go back to work. Take my lunch, watch 30 minutes of it, go back to work. Take another 10-minute break, watch 10 minutes of it, go back to work, and then before I come home, I'll finish it up or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's how I watch these a lot of times is snippets here and there. So, you know, because we go live on Thursdays, you know, we get situations like today where, oh, man, I was beat. I got home. And I was like, my back was hurting. I was like, I just got to lay down for a second. And next thing I know, it's like 7 o'clock, 7:15. And Ashley's like, hey, we're getting hungry. Hey, what do you want to do for dinner? You know, it just, you know, so it's like, well, I can go get something or cook something. I usually get something on Thursdays because I go live. It's just easier that way. We're knocking orders out. Or I mean, as soon as I get off here, I'm going to go work on some orders, you know, which is amazing. Love the fact that the shop's going. Speaking of Crashly.
Hey, Crashly. Yeah, I'm going to start working on my craft thing. I got all my patterns out over there for my little thing to go with. So,
hey, Pizza, I still say you should sell those.
I have a thing on, I'll make one up every now and then and put it on eBay or something. But I was doing it for a while and I was getting a lot of orders. But I was getting real behind because with regular work and then making these, you know, people were like, okay, it was taking like almost a month for me to get these things out. So I might make a few up, sell a few, make a few up, sell a few.
That's how I would do it. I wouldn't do it taking orders. Like,
yeah.
Crashly said she'll give you her size so you can make her one because she's trying to convince us. Hello Queen in the house.
Hello Queen.
She's trying to convince us that she will wear a Star Trek uniform.
Really?
I highly doubt
as long as it sparkles and it's cute.
Okay. Send me the measurements. I got, you know.
I don't want a typical little thing. I want like a Robert Flair kind of spin-off of a thing. Look at his eyebrow. That's fabulous. Do the other one.
Make her a Romulan outfit.
Can you do the other one?
Well, kind of.
Geez, that sucker got high though.
I can't do either.
That was fab. Oh.
When I'm looking at the screen, it's hard for me to do it because I'm looking in the mirror kind of thing.
I can't do either,
even
when I'm not looking at the screen.
I used to practice that when I was little because it was Dr. McCoy face, and you just give him the little, you know.
It was Spock face too, so.
Yeah.
I always tried to, but. Yeah. Oh, Nurse Chapel's dress, man. You know what? I was thinking about this when it comes to how they're touching base on some of these.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Maybe you remember, or maybe Halloween remembers. How long prior to the original series was Nurse Chapel's fiance lost?
I thought she said it was like I hadn't seen him in 5 years or something like that.
Yeah.
It was like 5 years or something.
So we got 7, so maybe season 3?
He goes missing. She's got somebody and he goes missing.
Maybe season 3 can give us a pretty decent arc on that. You know, touch base on some of these things. Dude, when I heard Scotty's voice.
I know. I I'm sitting on the couch. Anna my daughter wasn't feeling good, so she was laying on my lap kind of thing.
Yeah.
As I'm watching it, and then I heard Scotty's voice, and I've like practically jumped. She's flying. I'm like, oh! And she jumped.
I'm an engineer, Captain, not a miracle worker. Be like, well, see, that's where you messed up, Pike. You made a timeline where Scotty's not a miracle worker.
I know, right? I was like, Yeah, if you send me Crashly's measurements, I'll make her a Nurse Chapel shirt, the long thing. I even figured out how I was going to do the micro printing for the little crosses on. I figured it out. So I'm like,
Okay. Well, did you know Hobby Lobby sells screen print kits?
What?
Hobby Lobby sells screen printing kits.
Oh, yeah, we had a whole screen print machine. But I was going to make the pattern out, and they sell those hole punches in the different shapes. And I can just get one that's a little cross, make the pattern, make it out, and then I can dab the paint over it and then sew it on, like dab it on the separate material.
There you go.
It's simple, it's easy, it's cheap. I look for the easiest way to do these things because everything I see on eBay and everywhere else, as soon as you associate the Star Trek name with it, it's like you're immediately fleecing the masses for as much as you can possibly get. And I look at how much it costs me to make it, a little bit of time wise, and like a smaller profit. And I don't, you know what I mean? I don't fleece the masses. I think one shirt, literally, when I was doing them for the 2009 movie, I think it cost me about $12 to make one. I sold them for $40. And I was making fine. I was doing fine. They were easy to make, everything.
Mm-hmm. But now costs are higher.
Yep. Just like my
Hello Queen says the internet says pizza's right. It was 5 years.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Because I was watching these the other day.
It's been a while since I sat down and watched all of them. And when I do sit down and watch all of them, I start with Enterprise.
Yeah.
After, before that it would start with whatever, but now when I sit down and watch all of them, I'll start with Enterprise. And I will work my way up all the way to the newest Abrams JJ verse, because to me that is still a continuation of the Prime timeline. Even though it takes place in a different universe, it is the continuation of Spock's timeline in the Prime.
Kind of a reverse, yeah.
Well, it's not a reverse. It's if you follow all the way up to the end of Voyager, the next step, or no, not the end of, if you follow all the way up to the end of Nemesis, the next step is Star Trek, Abrams Star Trek, because it is a continuation of what happens to the Romulans and Spock. So, yeah, you're following different characters in that timeline, but it is still a continuation of a character's story arc from the Prime timeline. So, I mean, one could go throughout with not knowing, without watching the Abrams ones, but
then
in essence, they are still sequels.
Yeah. Then with Discovery, you'd have to do Enterprise, then Discovery season 1 and 2.
Yes.
Then go to TOS.
Well, Strange New Worlds, then TOS.
Yeah, Strange New Worlds, now TOS. Then Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager. And you throw in the movies in there in between.
All the movies in. Then after Nemesis, you can either
do the JJ verse or do Discovery season 3 and 4.
After Nemesis, I would at least do JJ's Star Trek.
Yeah.
Because when you enter Picard, Romulus is already blown up. So to understand what happened to Romulus in the Prime Universe, you got to watch Abrams' Star Trek, because that covers that.
That covers Romulus.
An idea where Spock is, and then from there you can decide when you watch Abrams' Treks. That's fine.
Because then you would have to go.
Personally, I would want to watch them prior to
actually after Star Trek, the 2009 one with Romulus, then you could watch Picard. You have to throw Picard in there 1 and 2,
Yeah,
because they happened long before Voyager or Discovery 3 and 4. Right, yeah.
But I would at least finish Abrams' Trek before circling back to Discovery.
Probably.
Well, because they mentioned Spock, they mentioned what happened to Spock. They're also, right now, they've mentioned the different universes, that interdimensional war in a sense that,
Yeah.
So there could be other aspects from those brought in. We don't know. But
oh yeah, I did watch Ready Room, and they showed a little preview of the new Lower Decks that's coming next. I was all excited. That's why I have Lower Decks right there.
Oh yeah, I didn't think about Lower Decks or Prodigy.
I wouldn't even bother throwing them in there anywhere. They're like around. They're kind of actually. Technically, they should be after Nemesis too, because they talk about Riker commanding the Titan.
Yeah.
So
I'm still not. Like I said,
I know.
And I'm okay with that. I would love with the styles of shows that those two are. I am perfectly fine with Trek having them separate. Like, treat them sort of like Marvel was treating their shows for a while.
Yeah.
Like, they're canon. These can reference these.
Yeah.
But please don't expect me to go watch Prodigy to understand what's going on.
No. I mean, I tried to watch Prodigy. That was definitely for younger kids.
Exactly.
Lower Decks was a nice filler Trek for there. It's got like the humor as well as the Trek in it and the canon and stuff, and I thought that was cool.
Yeah, Hello Queen. I have watched them countless times. I remember back when back before Voyager came out. We had Pizza. You remember those VHSs that were in the big cardboard box with
the Time Life collection.
We had all of those for the original series and Next Generation, up to what Next Generation was airing. And so I'd be at my grandmother's house and we'd be like, oh, Star Trek. And we'd just sit down on a Saturday morning, or, I'd be over there all weekend. We'd start Friday night and put in the first one and watch it, and then watch the next one and sit there and watch them all up. And then before we threw Next Generation in, we'd sit down and watch all the movies. It was all the way up to, at the time I'm remembering, it was either right before or right after Undiscovered Country hit theaters.
I remember after I had my surgery the last time to fix my shoulder again.
Mm-hmm.
I wish we would have had streaming service with all the Trek on it. But I sat there and I'm just like, put on Enterprise. And, but I was medicated. So I'm like, woo, and then we watched TOS and then Next Gen and all them.
Yep.
Because I was sitting at home. I was home drugged up on the couch with my arm up in the brace and the sling and everything else. I couldn't do anything. It's like,
but yeah, and that's what we did. Is it was like, oh, we're gonna sit down, we're gonna put these in, and at the same time, like I said, I'm okay with the animated Trek being a no need to watch, because I've got TAS on DVD and I will put it in and I'll watch it.
Oh, I forgot about the animated series too. I forgot about that one.
I like that I don't have to.
Right.
Because it's the same thing. It's not everyone's cup of tea.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that gets me too, is when people are like, this new Trek's not Trek. Go sit back and watch TAS.
Yeah. Yeah.
Go sit down and watch Star Trek, the motion picture.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. There's a reason Star Trek II Wrath of Khan was such a huge success. Part of it was because it's an amazing film. But the other part is when you're following up Star Trek the motion picture, the bar's not set too high.
No, it wasn't not too high.
So then when you have something that comes out that pulls in that nostalgia, talking about, when you have Khan, oh, I know him, he was in this one. And you're actually getting this full-on amazing space saga, so much better than Voyager. Huh? Oh, I'm Captain Kirk. I'm a dick. Oh, let's have 20 minutes of flying around the Enterprise.
Flying through the cloud, you know.
Look, it's a pretty ship. Let's go around again. Like how many times does a space shuttle have to fly around a starship before it docks?
I think they kind of went with the different, you know, looking for the beauty shot and all that stuff.
And I get it. I do. Trust me. I get it because I grew up in the 80s. You know, when you get to go in and sit down after nearly 20 years of no new Star Wars, and you get to sit down in that theater and watch Star Wars Episode 1, poof, go. You're like, whoo. So I completely get it. For those of you who grew up watching Star Trek, and then you went nearly 20 years, not nearly, you went more like 15 years, 10, 15 years, without seeing any new Trek besides from the animated series,
right?
To sit down and get to see this, the Enterprise with all these new great special effects, not some little model hanging up in a soundstage and someone took a camera and went around real quick. So look, it's a pretty ship. You know,
actually,
I get it. I can imagine sitting in that theater watching that movie when it first hits. I don't think there's one person that walked out of there. I would be surprised if one Star Trek fan walked out of there going, yeah, they panned on the ship too long. No, they were going out being like, man, that was so awesome. The detail in the Enterprise. And all. Trust me, I completely get it. But that was a bring back nostalgia factor. And then you turn around and do.
Well, the thing with the motion picture is it wasn't really that long from when Star Trek ended. They ended in what, 68, August of 68 or September 68?
And it came out in 81.
No, the motion picture was 79.
Oh, it was 79. So 10 years.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Like you're looking more, at that point, you're looking more between Revenge of the Sith and whatever that new trilogy is called.
Well, they just, I mean, Star Wars was okay when like the first one came out in 77. You know, they waited like was 2 or 3 years in between each one when they were releasing the original trilogy.
It was 3 years.
Yeah, something like 3 years. And then, see, I mean, Star Trek did the motion picture, then, oh crap. Then they did Wrath of Khan like a few years later because they convinced them to let them try because after the first one, you know.
Well, yeah, and then Wrath of Khan was huge, and Nimoy was like, I'm done. And they're like, no, we want to bring you back for the third one. He's like, no, you killed my character off. He's like, no, you can come back for the third one. And he's like, you know what? I'll come back if I can direct it. And go, okay, well, crap, now I got to direct it.
Well, that's the whole thing with the reason they killed him off. He wasn't going to be in 3 or anything to do with 3 until his lawsuit. He had that lawsuit going with Paramount, using his image like overseas on billboards and not getting any money for it. He had the lawsuit.
Yeah.
When they settled it, then he's like, all right, we'll do this, you know. What is this?
Yeah, so it's akin to a problem I hear about the Wheel of Time. For those of us who had to wait years between books, having a slow start to reintroduce characters makes sense. Yeah, and granted, it was. And at the same time, though, here's the other situation. I understand it was only 10 years between the original series and Star Trek. The difference is, though, 10 years from 68 to 79, that 11-year gap there is completely different than an 11-year gap in the past 2 decades. Because the only way people could get Trek would be finding it in reruns on a channel in their area if it broadcasted.
Yeah, unless you went out and spent.
Where now you can sit down. No, even then you couldn't really buy.
Right. The VHSs didn't come out till the 80s.
Yeah, the VHSs didn't come out. Then that was the only way to get them was those publishers thing.
Yeah, the Time Life, whatever.
Time Life. You couldn't get them outside of Time Life. So that was the whole situation is you only could watch it in syndicated reruns, and not every station. I mean, we watched it out here. This is how I was able to watch Trek in the 80s growing up. We had 4 TV stations. 4. We had CBS on Channel 8. NBC on channel 8, CBS on channel 13, ABC on channel 17, and then our local channel 25, which was it was basically a Mormon channel. It was the guy who owned it was Mormon, and he used it mainly for a lot of religious style, publications.
Yeah.
Which I wasn't raised Mormon, but that's neither here nor there. The thing that was awesome about him is he made it a point to have Disney Saturday afternoon or Disney whatever it was. Yeah. He would play the Disney cartoons on there.
Oh, yeah, the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse.
Well, no, not Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. We had to watch. It was the 4 shows were DuckTales, TaleSpin.
Oh, yeah, I'm thinking of my time. I'm thinking my time.
DuckTales, TaleSpin, Darkwing Duck, and Rescue Rangers. Well, when I was real little, we did have satellite. We'd have satellite here, satellite out here. We didn't get cable. We had satellite. I've still got the satellite dish out leaning against the shed. The thing's bigger than literally bigger than a car. I mean, you had to go out there and
I remember
it change signal, and we'd get Disney Channel. I mean, that's where I watched Gummy Bears and Mickey Mouse Club and stuff like that. Disney afternoons. Yeah, that's what it was. So we had that, but not everybody had that. And we didn't have all the channels. You had to buy channel by channel. So my dad he owned HBO. My mom made sure to have Disney. And then there was a couple other channels my dad had. And that was about it until Sci-Fi Channel came out. When the Sci-Fi Channel came out, that was one that the moment my mom saw an advertisement for it in a magazine that they were releasing Sci-Fi Channel. I mean, she was an early on to that. I mean, I'll tell you this much, the first month of that channel was nothing but advertisements for that channel.
Yeah. And
what shows they were going to have. But yeah, when Sci-Fi Channel was coming out, it was like, getting sci-fi. And that was back when it was SCI-FI. Not this.
I was long, when I was younger, I was long before that. It was the 70s. Like we said, we had the 3 channels, the main channels, 3, 6, and 10. And then we had the VHF channels that were like 17, 29, and 48.
Yeah.
Then we got Philly 57, it was called. And original series was usually, if we wanted to watch the original series, it was on like Channel 10, like the NBC or whatever it was back then. But it was like 10 o'clock at night.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd have to watch it then. But when Philly 57 came out in the late 70s, we had the TOS on, in the afternoons, so I could watch it after school. We didn't have, I think the only cable we finally got had HBO and then like regular channels, but we still only had the one with Star Trek. And I was actually in the Navy at my first duty station in Virginia in '87 when The Next Generation premiered. I remember sitting at we lived at the Armed Services YMCA because the barracks was full. So they put us in an old YMCA, called it the Armed Services, and we were all sitting in the common room watching the TV when that premiered. And it was...
yeah, we still don't get cable out at this property.
Really?
Yeah, it's either satellite or streaming, and we had satellite for a little bit until the streaming services started picking up.
Yeah, that's all we do. We got
in Grassley. We're done with satellite. There's no need to pay them. We're good.
All we do is we don't have cable. We got Wi-Fi. That's all I got was Wi-Fi. We can watch everything we want to watch right on the streaming. If we want the local channels, we can go to their website.
But that was the thing, is to watch Star Trek growing up. That's part of what got me into Star Trek as well, is the situation as far as how we watched it. My mom grew up on Star Trek. She was born in 57, so she grew up watching the original series and fell in love with it. And then my grandmother loved it. In my family, that was one thing that always confused me. I keep straying off here, but one thing that always confused me is everybody's like, Star Wars and Star Trek is for guys. Oh, girls. In my family, seriously, I was legitimately like the only guy that liked those shows, and I was called girly and a wuss. You like those science fiction shows?
Yeah, you like that sci-fi stuff? What do you do?
You need to get out there and watch some man shows, or get out there and do some work, sit
throw
back
a football around, do something.
These hokey fiction shows. You know what I'm saying?
My aunt was the one that got me involved in the original series because she had a crush on Chekhov. On Walter, she used to love Chekhov. When she would be babysitting me after school, she loved Chekhov. The thing with competing with Davy Jones worked. Chekhov was getting both my aunts that used to babysit me used to watch it. I remember sitting there working with him at a convention one year, like years later. This is like in the 90s, late 90s. And I was like, I finally got to sit and talk to him because we had our table and they kept us in the same area as them. And we were like, oh, yeah, we started way back when. And I said, yeah, because my aunt had such a crush on you back in the day. And he's just laughing. He goes, oh, you know how many times I hear that? I said, oh, my God, it was amazing. She's still to this day. And he goes, you got your cell phone? I said, yeah. He goes, call her up. I said, I called up my Aunt Ginger. I'm like, hey, Aunt Ginger, yeah, I'm at the convention, at the Star Trek convention. She goes, oh, you're going to rub it in that I didn't get to go? I said, you're even going to like this better. And I put it on speaker, and he did his little Russian thing with it. This is Pavel Chekhov. She goes, no effing way. I'm like, yeah, I'm sitting right next to Walter Koenig right now. I took a selfie and sent it to her. And she was talking. She talked to him. He talked to her for like a good 15 minutes before the convention opened. It was awesome.
There you go.
And, she passed away a little after that, but she got to talk to Chekhov, and she was blah, 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 blah.
No, man, I get it. Yeah, that was the thing. Is like it always threw me off. But back to what I was saying, because I keep straying off and everything. But like you said, 10 o'clock at night. That was Saturday nights.
Yep.
If you stayed up as soon as the 10 o'clock news was over at 10:30, it was Star Trek: The Original Series.
Yep.
That's what we. I get to stay up late. This is awesome. Me and my mom and my brother and my sister was real little at the time. Practically a baby. We'd sit there on the sofa and watch the original series. They watch the episode, and then there. And then when the movies would come out, we'd go watch the movies. And when they'd hit VHS, we had them. So it was like, always there. And then when Next Generation came out, that was a popcorn night. We made popcorn. Down. It was like, whew, the news was ending, and my dad's like, "Oh, done watching the news." Mom's like, "Go in." We sit there and we're waiting, and then all of a sudden you start hearing the music from the movies. Yeah, that was the big one. Is it's like you got I remember sitting down and watching the first episode of Next Generation when it aired. I am getting goosebumps thinking about that night because it was literally like going to the movies.
We sat there. We watched it in the common room in Portsmouth, Virginia, because I was stationed at Portsmouth Naval Hospital then. And you had 20 sailors sitting around the TV, all of us on the floor, on the couches, on everything, like this close to the TV, watching The Next Generation when it came out. At first, everybody was like, we weren't sure how we were going to deal with Worf, because we were all TOS guys. We're like, Klingon on the bridge? Ain't no Klingon on the bridge of the Enterprise. It kind of worked out, but like those first few episodes, we were like, oh, come on. Should be kicking his ass, not putting him on the bridge,
Yeah, exactly. That's the comedy about it too, is those situations. But like I said, just the nostalgia there, and then that's how when
Thank you, Harlequin. I wasn't feeling old enough as it is. Yes, I went in the Navy in 1986. I was 17 in boot camp. I turned 18. I went in August. I turned 18 in September of 86, right then. So that's when I was in the Navy. 27 years later. Yeah.
But and then we turn around when DS9 came out, they would air DS9 because they would show The Next Generation. Then if the hour after that or the time slot after that, it was an hour, was the original series. So you'd watch Next Gen, and then we'd still get to continue where we were with the original series. Then when DS9 came out, you would sit down and watch an episode of DS9, and then an episode of Next Gen, or vice versa. I can't remember exactly. I think they put the newer one in the prime spot.
Yep. And I remember
to get people. The way they were doing it in our state TV station, basically it was like, oh, you want to continue where you're at next gen? Well, here, watch the new show first.
Yep. And then I remember sitting there. I had my own apartment. I was back stationed up here. I was at Willow Grove, but I had an apartment here. My girlfriend and I at the time. And then I'm like, I happened to find out about it by chance, about Deep Space Nine coming out when that premiered, because she wasn't a Star Trek fan, and she was doing everything she could not for me to know that was coming out.
Isn't it annoying how that is? It's like you don't have. It's like it's weird. You very seldomly find the people that are like, you get the people like, yeah, Star Trek, and then you get people that are like, Star Trek. Like, what did Star Trek do to you to upset you so bad?
Well,
like you don't really find very many people that are like, oh yeah, it's okay.
My sister Tracy wasn't getting along with my girlfriend at the time. Tracy's 11 years younger than me, and she knew that my girlfriend didn't want me to know that was coming out. So we were at the house, and all of a sudden my sister Tracy goes, y'all ready to watch that new Star Trek show tonight? And I was like, new Star Trek show? What are you talking about? I don't know. She brought the magazine clipping out from the newspaper, and she's showing me, and I could see my girlfriend's face like, the whole time.
And then
it was great. It was great.
And that is straight up just another premiere that you're sitting there, and it's like, you're like, the Borg. Like, I am the cutest of Borg. Like, oh, man.
They're going right from there.
You like, and then you got a little time jump, like, this is awesome. And then it's the same thing when Voyager came out. It was, at that point, there were no more Next Gen episodes, so it was like, oh.
Yeah,
but
Next Gen was off. And then
Voyager and, Deep Space Nine running. And then by the time Enterprise came out, they'd already gotten satellite back, so it was, that was on Paramount.
Well, I know Enterprise
UPN
Enterprise was 2000 or 2001.
Yeah, it was at the point where it was like after I had turned 18 and stuff, and it was on UPN is how we watched it. So
we did the premiere for that in Vegas. We were the Klingons for that. But I remember it was the Next Generation and Deep Space Nine kind of overlapped a little bit. And then they didn't want to do that anymore, so they waited till Deep Space Nine was done. Then they did Voyager. And then when Voyager was done, it was like the series finale of Voyager one week, and then the very next week we were doing the premiere of Enterprise.
Yeah, when a lot of people, and I think one of the aspects of DS9 was, I don't know, I think Deep Space Nine, with the type of show it was timing.
I actually liked that one a lot more than a few of them.
I love DS9. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I'm saying in a sense of viewership. A big problem with it was timing. It was okay. We're going to have it on a space station. It's going to be more centralized located. The stories are coming to them. They're not really going out to the stories, which they still go out to the stories when it came to the Dominion and
they started changing it a little bit. Like around the third season when they were going through the wormhole to different planets. And then the Dominion War started, so
but
Klingon more than the Dominions.
I think one of the issues that hurt it some were the other shows that were airing at the time. I mean, you had Babylon 5, which is another space station show. You had Sequest, which isn't a space station show, but it's still one of those shows where you're secluded on a station and the stories are coming to you. It's what's going on there. You're not out exploring all this new stuff. It's just stories coming. I think there was a situation with the amount of shows that were like that.
Yeah. Where everybody tried copying that little genre.
With Next Generation, there wasn't really an exploration style show. I mean, it was like the space exploration show.
Yeah.
DS9 came out and it wasn't really exploring space anymore. It was more of a domestic style show. And then right at the same time in the 90s, you have these other shows coming out that are similar in style. Not exact setting, not exact characters, but style. So and then it's hard to keep those viewers that were like, well, this isn't new. This isn't special because there's more out there like it.
And then they kind of tried to capitalize on the whole Star Trek brand kind of thing.
Mhm.
Like the other shows were like not quite Star Trek, and then the one sci-fi show that I liked only had 13 episodes, 12, 13 episodes. Firefly.
Oh yeah, but you're talking 2000s by that point.
That was I thought it was late 90s. It was Firefly.
We'll have to look that one up.
Yeah, when was Firefly? Because I know Castle was out in 2000. So I think I could be wrong.
We'll see if Firefly 2002 to 2003. I beat Hello Queen.
Whoa!
Delay. Dang it.
Well, I have to say
Let's see if
did.
throw my hands up. Dang it! Nope, I didn't beat Hello. Well, I got it right. I looked over on the computer where it's got the newer ones, and before I went, I beat Hello Queen. She had already put in there 2003, I think.
Well, the 90s for me were a little. The 90s for me were a little rough because I was over there getting sand in my shoes for quite a while in the 90s. So.
Sorry, Hello Queen. I'll let you have that one because with the delay in there, I'm pretty sure you definitely beat me on.
Yeah, I think you had a little jump on the question anyway because we have the delay.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
so yeah, we had a good old time with that, and then
I didn't beat Hello Queen.
Uh-oh.
She finds it funny. Well, I'm glad. Yeah, I'm the same way, Lynn. I didn't know about Firefly until after it was already off the air. And then when I went back and looked at how the episodes were, I was like, because I'm going to watch them how they aired. Fox killed Firefly before it even hit the ground. The airing of those episodes was so god-awful and out of sequence that it's no wonder the series didn't get its viewers. They brought it out in a horrible time slot, didn't advertise the darn thing,
barely,
and then played it out of sequence.
Let's see. Yeah, it was just. Thank God it had its little cult following, or nobody would have had any idea. And then the Serenity movie to finish it all up came out, a couple years later?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Serenity, I loved Serenity. I actually went back and tried to watch Firefly lately.
Yeah. It's one of them ones you really have to be in the mood for.
It didn't age well.
No, not at all.
It didn't age well. It needed more seasons so it could actually, because Serenity is still amazing. But yeah, going back and watching the original show, it's like
that should have at least gotten 2 seasons just to get the characters going right, you know?
Going back and trying to watch Firefly is like going back to try to watch Sam Raimi's Hercules and Xena and Jack of all trades shows.
Oh God.
Like the nostalgia's there. You're like, oh, because it's like, hold on, put on my rose-colored glasses.
Yeah.
Yay! But you take them off, you're like,
I watched it and I liked it when I saw it, and then at the conventions we're usually right down the aisle from the brown coats because they're a little cult following. We all talk and we have a good time. But then if it's just on or I try to watch it and I'm not really in the mood, I'm just like,
you're like, ugh, what?
It's like, what am I doing? Yeah.
But yeah, Lynn, Fox failed. Fox has a serious habit now they're owned by Disney, but they had a serious habit of doing that. I mean, Firefly only got 1 season, and at the time was an amazing show. The other situation is the aughts really didn't give us the shows we had then were good, but they could have been so much better, type thing. I think it was just a writing.
They had a very, very limited budget, the writing, everything with that.
But they did Firefly, then what was the other one? We're going to go back in time to the dinosaurs.
Land of the Lost?
No. This is the...
Oh! I know which one you're talking about. Wasn't that something like Earth 2 or something like that?
No, but it takes place... The synopsis of the story sounds stupid. When you say it like, ooh, here's a synopsis of the story, it's kind of like, what? But it was an amazing show. But they're so far in the future, and the planet's basically dying. You can't breathe outside of houses. You have to have oxygen masks on.
Yeah.
But a portal opened up. They found a way to be able to go back to prehistoric times. So they're basically colonizing prehistoric times because you can't live in the present. And the only way to go back is to be on the lottery or to be assigned based off your profession.
Yeah, I remember the show you're talking about.
Yeah, and the wife is going, or you can only have one kid or so many kids, and they had another kid and they hid it, and the husband ends up going to jail or something. It was, what is the name of that show?
I liked the original V when that came out in the 80s. And then I didn't like when they tried to redo it in the 2000s. I wasn't crazy about it.
I'd have to sit back. I did not watch the redoing this. See, I had a problem. That was my other thing is in the aughts, they tried to redo shows and did a horrible job of it.
Yeah, they tried changing it to make it just wasn't right.
The thing is the technology wasn't there to redo it. Yeah. The technology was not there to redo it. I mean, you're literally getting, they tried so hard to put CGI in, and it's low budget CGI, so it's horrible. I go back and watch that episode of Enterprise. What was it? Amir Darkly Part 2, when they're fighting the Gorn.
Yeah, the little clay Gorn.
No.
I know he was CGI.
CGI Gorn, and it was just god awful. It was horrid.
He looked a little CGI. He looked like
Halloween. He looked it up. Terra Nova. Oh God, I loved that show. I loved that show. So sad, only got one season. Revolution was another one. That one only got 2 seasons, I think, but I loved that one too.
The only remake I ever liked when they were remaking them, and I know you're going to laugh and giggle the minute I say it, was Dark Shadows in 1991. And they were doing it really good. They were staying to the original show, but it was the Gulf War that killed that. A lot of the shows in 91 when the Gulf War was going on just didn't get the viewing because everybody was, watching the news.
The situation on top of that is when the 90s hit, they weren't pushing CGI. So when they redid shows, when they did remakes of certain things in the 90s, there was a bit of a technological advance to it because the picture was clearer and things. But in the aughts, they tried to remake shows that came out in the 70s and 80s.
Yeah.
And try to be like, well, we can do this CGI. And you're sitting there going, can we please get the clay creatures back?
Yeah.
Can we get a guy in a rubbery suit?
Yeah.
But there was another one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
Terra Nova.
She already got it.
Yeah, Halloween beat you.
Yeah, Halloween beat you. Yeah.
There was another
Robbie
one.
looked it up too. He was playing Fortnite because he got the Thor and Indiana Jones stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, he got the Indiana Jones stuff. But then he took it off and he looked it up. He didn't realize we saw it already.
There was another one that was a one seasoner.
There was a lot of one season back then.
Well, this one was the one. It's got
Earth 2 was one season.
Earth 2 could have just been one season.
That's
I'm
mad
with disagree with him, but Earth 2 was fine being just one season.
Yeah. Not yet.
This one was it was another post-apocalyptic style show.
I pushed it. I can't get it to load again.
This one was in the post-apocalyptic style show. It took place in Kansas.
You pushed it.
Did I?
It was Jericho. Jericho was another one.
Okay. Hey.
That was another one that I wish had gotten further. And there's some good sci-fi shows that we've had over the past few decades, even in the 90s. Sliders. I really enjoyed Sliders. It's difficult to go back and watch now, but that was that 90s style. You had Sliders. You had so many shows are losing my head, but what was it? Was it Sentinel?
It would sound important.
I think it was called Sentinel. Do you remember that show, Robert?
I remember the name, but I don't remember.
He was like a cop, but I think it was Sentinel.
RoboCop?
I'm gonna look that one up. This is one that I used to watch. The only way to watch it was during the week after on channel, I think it was channel 8, after it played all the late night shows.
Yeah.
Then we had about 3 hours of these newer shows that were just obscure before we got the color bars popping on the screen.
Yeah, I had all the Quantum Leap. I loved Quantum Leap. See, I was like watching shows in the 80s, and I was getting stuff like that god awful Automan and stuff like. Do you remember that show? I was getting stuff like that. And it was god awful.
Yeah, it was a Sentinel.
Okay.
In the jungles of Peru, the fight for survival heightened his senses. Now, Detective Jim Ellison is a sentinel in the fight for justice. Anthropologist Blair Sandberg works side by side with Jim, helping him develop these senses. He had hyper senses, and they didn't all always work at the same time. It was Richard Burgi was the guy who starred as the Sentinel, and he's been in some other stuff. Let's see, so in case people look at some more recent things he was in.
Yeah, Hollow Queen Heroes was good. I think that's how they gave the Heroes crowd closure. Like they said on Big Bang Theory, they just kept dropping the quality of the show season after season, so we were glad it was over.
And then when they brought that new Heroes series out, it was like,
I don't know how many T-shirts I saw that year. Save the cheerleader, save the world. Everybody had that on T-shirts for a long time.
But yeah, I can't. Like he's been in stuff recently, but not anything big. You get those shows like that was how I watched Highlander.
Yeah.
Series. It wasn't. That was the only way I could watch that. It wasn't those. A lot of the shows weren't prime time on my local stations. It was Highlander the series. Then there was the Viper.
Did you ever watch remember Viper? That? Yeah,
it was sort of. It reminded me a little bit of what's that? God, horrible memory going on here. It was kind of like Knight Rider is what it reminded me of in a sense. I mean, it wasn't straight up Knight Rider, but the car from the future comes back in time and.
Well, then you had Knight Rider 2000.
Yeah,
when that came out.
Never again. That was one of those situations where they're like, "Ooh, let's bring out with new special effects," and
The only thing I liked about
Hollow Queen, it did. Heroes did. The writer's strike killed, ruined Heroes, and that was one of the problems that Heroes had with its following, with the seasons it had.
Crashly likes likes the eyebrow, huh?
With the seasons it had, that was as the later seasons went on, was they had a hard time keeping writers on. But it was one of those that was like, I really enjoyed it at first, and then it went downhill. Some of there are some shows that I was like, when it was airing, I had to watch it. Like, oh my god, my show's on. And then when I go back now, I'll be like, oh, I can stream it. I'll put it on, and I won't even get through the first episode.
Yeah,
it doesn't mean they're bad shows. It's just I don't understand why it doesn't grab my interest anymore. It's weird, right? Yeah. What was the one? God, my memory. This is what you guys come to watch. You come to watch me try to dive into my memory and be like, I can't remember anything.
The only thing I liked about Knight Rider 2000, like I say, was a Mustang. That was the only thing I liked about it. Kit was a Mustang. And
imagine how many people that ticked off.
Yeah. Do you like you said, you didn't watch the Orville this week?
I have not been able to catch up on the Orville yet. I just haven't had time to sit down and watch it. Like I said, me getting shows in is literally when I have a chance, I'll put my Bluetooth headset on and I'll sit there and watch what I can when I can. 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there.
I watched the Orville tonight. Me and Robbie watched it together, and I hated it. It was not.
Did it get too political for you, Pizza?
No, it's not. It wasn't political. The story, it was a time travel story. Gordon Malloy, the redhead, he was trying to do something in an engineering, and during a fight, and he got blown back in time to 2015. Okay, great. They go to rescue him, but because of the miscalculation or something, they end up in 2025, 10 years later. So he had been on Earth for 10 years. So after, so long, he had a wife, a kid, a baby on the way, a house, family, shit like that. Well, they're making this decision for him. Well, we're taking you back anyway, whether you like it or not, because you shouldn't have messed with the timeline. You were supposed to stay out of sight. And then he's like practically pulling a gun on Ed, and I don't know why I forget her name. The first officer, and they're like, "Fine, you don't want to come back now? We'll go back in 2015 and get it." It's like nobody ever existed then. So I don't know whether the point was missed on me with the show, but they ended up going back into 2015. So the kids never existed, the family never existed, and they just kind of wiped it out. I watched it as a father, and I was like, no. And then they had the nerve to tell him about it, what happened. Like, they're all sitting around having, little drinks and stuff like that later on. Oh, I can't believe I was that selfish to mess with the timeline. No, see, I don't think I would have been that calm about it. I had a family. I was happy, and you took me anyway. I'd have been swinging a gun around like crazy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I
have to. Like I said, I gotta sit down and watch it. You never know. But Hello Queen, Stranger Things. I was right. I called it. Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't caught up on Stranger Things. Spoiler alert. I called it. Becca did not work for the Mind Flayer. Becca was the mind behind the Mind Flayer. I knew it when I saw him playing with spiders, and then we went back to season 2, where it showed the Mind Flayer as like a spider-like creature. Well, at the end of season 1, or no, it was the end of season 2, yeah, where it showed the Mind Flayer like a spider-like creature. I was like, I knew it. I was like, yes, I love it when it's predictably beautiful.
When we saw that, when Anna was showing me that, I'm thinking, there's going to be no living with Kerwin now. He's going to know that one.
Oh, man. I loved it. And as we're going with predicting Stranger Things, it was one of those situations where I've already got a prediction for the next season, right?
Uh-oh. I don't even think there was going to be one.
Oh, yeah. Season 5 is the final season.
The director has no idea what he's going to do with it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
No, season 5 is the final season, and they tried to say earlier on they didn't. They were like, "Oh, we don't know where we're going with season 5." They know exactly where they're going with season 5.
You think?
Oh no, they do. They've already come out and said, "Yes, we know what we're doing with season 5. Season 5 is going to be the final season, and it's going to be the season of all seasons."
Yeah.
It's going to be the be all and end all of Stranger Things type thing, and. Just like when he plays on, she's alive, but she's dead. With Max's character, Max is going to be an integral part of season 5. For those, you caught up on it, didn't you, Pizza?
On Stranger Things?
Yeah.
I didn't watch the last 2, but spoilers don't bother me.
Well, Max, little girl.
Anna showed me.
They're not really little girls and little kids anymore. They're, the actors are basically 20 and the characters are a little younger, but
Anna. The only thing I've seen of the second part of 4 was Anna showed me the cheerleader getting whacked with the mind thing, like sucking in the eyes and breaking all up and shit up in the air.
Yeah.
I was like, that's cool.
Well, that happens to Max.
Okay.
She does die, but 11 brings her back. However, she's blind. She's still broken.
Oh, yeah. You said something about that.
Her mind is gone. When she's in the hospital and she's in a coma. Her body's just alive. That's all. And 11 tries to go into her mind and it's just darkness. Empty. However. Max is going to be, in my opinion, Max is going to be an integral part to season 5. Because, yes, Max is in a coma. Yes, she's brain dead. There's nothing going on upstairs. Because her body is an empty. It's an empty shell. Her mind is not in her body. The doctor, Papa, whatever you want to call him,
Okay.
told 11 straight up, when Henry kills you, he doesn't just kill you. He absorbs you. He absorbs your mind. He absorbs your powers. So he absorbed Max's mind. And when we already know that when it comes to powers on powers, it's going to be a fight with 11 and 1 and Henry Vecna, whichever name you want to choose from. It's going to be a fight, powers on powers. This is where the main fight's going to happen.
Huh.
And I think because Max's body is still alive, I think they're going to have a little tether type situation there where Max is going to be in his head. So, and that's how 11's going to be able to get Max back into her body.
Okay.
I could be completely wrong, but it's got potential to be epic. It's got potential to be amazing. And I love it so much. And you know what? I wish that town were a real town. Because, not going to lie, when we were driving through Indiana, I was looking for it.
Isn't that one of those things they film in Georgia? They have like a set or a town or something?
They've got sets in Georgia and Ontario and all over.
That's where because my parents live in Georgia and they talk about that's where they did Hunger Games and all that stuff too, at that little.
Yeah, Lynn. And I knew I heard it somewhere else where somebody said it. You know, Henry said that too, that when he kills them, they don't die. They are bound to him. And that's the fact. That's what I'm saying is 11 kept Max's body. There's going to be a huge thing with Max. I think we're going to get a lot more of the older brother, Max's boyfriend. I think we're going to get a lot more of him being more center in the story instead of a side character like he was throughout this.
Wait, which one was Eddie again? Eddie was the one with the long hair that played the
Eddie's the one who is sadly gone.
He played Master of Puppets and
Yes.
All right, so do we have an official Kerwin prediction then for season 5 of Stranger Things?
Yeah, Lucas is going to be more of a kicker role. I foresee. I'll go deeper here. Let's deep dive. Let's dive into prediction status. Let's go all out, right? Let's see how far off track I can get. All right.
Uh-oh.
11 is going to help project Lucas into Vecna's mind, and just like we had a fight on different fronts in season 4, like Halloween was talking about, where you had the different fronts. You had 11 in Nevada, Hop in Russia, Kids in Hawkins, and Kids in Upside Down. They're going to have the same thing. It's going to, there's not really going to be much of an upside down situation. It'll be there, but it's because the upside down's coming to the normal world. But you're going to have a battle of minds, and part of that battle of minds is going to be Elle and Lucas inside Vecna's mind with Max. Working on that aspect. And what I would love to see, and this is not going to happen.
What's that?
But I would love to see that other character that was in season 1 or 2, one of 11's sisters, per se. I would love to see them come back.
I was kind of upset with the one season in the beginning because I was a big Barb fan in season 1 before they killed her off. And then they had to show all mushy, yucky Barb there in season 4. I'm like, oh yeah, rub it in. Go ahead, man. Yeah. I was all like, oh, mushy, yucky Barb. I thought Crashly and all them would be all wild on Strange New Things this week because of who Captain Kirk was.
Oh, Strange New Worlds.
That's it. Strange New Worlds.
Ashley did say she wanted to watch it because he was going to be in it.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, but again, it's Star Trek, and it's hard to get her to sit down and watch Star Trek. The main reason it's hard to get her to sit down and watch Star Trek is because she's afraid that the same thing will happen to her that happened with her with Star Wars and Lord of the Rings.
She'll like it.
Don't need your nerd shows. Fine. I'll watch it.
Yeah, then she's like this the whole time.
What happens next? Like, you know, she's scared she's gonna like it, or she'll make sure she doesn't like it that much. Because even with Star Wars, she loved it, but I don't like it.
She'll never admit to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, how can she not like it when Stefan?
She goes, I heard that.
Hey, Stefan, whatever his name was, Stefan, whatever the hell his name was, from Vampire Diaries is Captain Kirk. I mean, come on.
And I think he did a decent job.
I think he did too.
Sorry, Lynn. I didn't realize we were giving you all kinds of spoilers.
Oh, I'm sorry. I saved Trek for Friday. Oh, sorry. Well, everybody kind of knew he was in it from the preview, but we won't go any further. But let me tell you, Lynn, you're going to be jumping up and down with it at the same time.
Nostalgia.
Like I was. Oh, I was going crazy.
And again, it proves my point to where if they ever make another Abrams universe, it needs to straight up be Star Trek Reflections, and it needs to be Abrams Kirk fighting the original series Mirror Kirk.
Well, they already said they have they have a go on the new Star.
They go on it, and they're going to do whatever they do, but they're not going to take my idea. If they did, I'd love it. Please do. But you're not going to do it.
If they do your idea, we'll have to go back in the archives, show them you were talking about it first, and get you some cash on that. You know.
No, don't do that. You guys don't have to pay me. Just do it. Just do it. I want to see it. But it'd be great.
Stefan was a little whiny bitch, I think, though, a little bit in that show. I like Damon's character.
He does. He's not talking about Strange Worlds. He's talking about Vampire Diaries.
Vampire Diaries. Yeah, I was reading.
He did an amazing job as Kirk.
Yeah, he did.
He did an amazing job as Kirk, and yeah, Spock annoyed me. He didn't grow much.
Well, they had him a little more.
The actor needs to stop being so to the point, monotone with how he.
Well, they had
Captain.
They have him more emotional in this season. Well, because I watched Ready Room, and they said for this episode, because it was into the future, they made him a little more stoic, a little more logical, a little more Vulcan.
I've got no problem with being logical and Vulcan. My problem is the delivery with the actor's line. The actor's delivery with his lines.
Oh, his monotone voice.
The delivery of his lines is so detached for me. It just does not work. Like, he needs to be. Like, I understand trying to be more detached of, I've got to be more logical. But Leonard Nimoy was amazing at it. And I'm not trying to compare him. I'm not trying to say, here's a comparison of him to Leonard Nimoy. Or here's a comparison of him to Zachary Quinto. But when you look at him and the way he tries to deliver his lines, it's like.
At least there was.
Well, I don't know, Robert. I don't think that's how it would go, Robert.
Well, he had.
It's every sentence is
well, I mean, Leonard Nimoy and Zachary Quinto have the inflection with the way they're delivering the lines, and I like Ethan Peck, but he is very,
It's
that's it.
It's like you could give him a paragraph to read, and he would read it, but he would read it as though he's trying to say one sentence short and to the point.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you just read it. You can deliver. You can sit here and you can have a conversation. Oh, you notice. It's very interesting how they decloaked.
Yeah.
At that point. But when Peck does it, it's very interesting how they decloaked. It's very interesting how they do that. Like, it's just yes, it is too much like Data, too much like he's more of a robot instead of a living being talking. And
I want to see how he does next season, because they already said production is already done filming for season 2 already.
Oh yeah,
They're doing the CGI and everything now. They're doing all the effects and everything.
It's in
now.
post production right now.
Yeah,
And again, like I said, I will get used to it. I'll get over it. That is just one of my annoyances. Like I mentioned last week, even Christopher's lines. To me, Christopher, the way that actor is shooting out Christopher's lines is, I don't want to. It's more like he's doing a table read. That's what it feels like to me. No, this episode he was amazing. But in previous episodes, the way he does his line delivery feels more like a table read. And at the same time, that is one thing that Star Trek has always had an issue with is line delivery. I mean, look at Captain Kirk. He had his way of doing lines, but that was...
How many commas can you put in one sentence?
He felt he needed to carry the show on his shoulders. And at the same time, while I'm talking, they're writing new lines because we can't say that on TV. So I must.
How many commas
these new
can
lines
you put?
they gave me? You know,
Yeah,
it's just they've had issues in the past. Even if you go back and watch Star Trek Next Generation, Jonathan Frakes was having issues delivering his lines and how he was portraying Riker. It took a little while for him to get into the role.
Yeah, they'll come into it, I think.
Yeah, they do need a season to really gel.
I've listened to Shatner talk about it, and he's like, he said that's almost the way they told him to deliver the lines. Like, commas, questioning, everything.
Yeah, it was and at the same time, Shatner was a stage actor. He wasn't a huge TV actor. He was a stage actor.
He only had smaller parts and smaller shows back before Star Trek. And then I think he got a few movies in the 70s and 80s after that. And then he went right back to TV with TJ Hooker and all that.
Oh yeah. So I mean, it takes a while to gel, and I get it. And they're amazing actors. Trust me, I don't discount their acting at all. I wish Spock would have a little bit better. I don't know. Part of me might think it might be directing, because you've got Jessica Romaine, who's an amazing actress. But the way she is delivering Una's lines sometimes is just like...
I think it's hard to do when you have... It's like they have so many different directors doing each episode.
Well,
things like that. It's like you can't really get into a swing.
You can't use that as an excuse, because that's history of television.
Well,
history of television is always numerous directors, always numerous writers. You'll have 5 people writing one episode.
Yeah,
You'll have
I get that.
Change. But at the same time, it is the director can make or break a movie. I mean, look at Uwe Boll, whatever you want to call his name. He's horrible. You can give him A-list actors, and he'll give you the crappiest piece of crap you've ever seen on screen. I mean, think about it. He's directed Michelle Rodriguez. He's directed Jason Statham. He's directed numerous big actors, and they're still crap movies.
Yeah, I just think it's not like with a movie where you get to learn the director's style through the whole film. Like TV, you get one director 1 week, another director another week, another director another week.
It is true, and that's how you do get a little bit of an issue with lines and a little bit of an issue with how it's being delivered. But at the same time, it's here's what the problem lies is you're on a budget, and sometimes the director's not focusing on what needs to be focused on. Yeah. And you also get the seasoning problem, right? You get new directors, because that's how you start. You start in television. You start in, doing music videos and your own little things, and you start directing episodes. You get these new directors.
Look at Hollow Queen's comment.
Here's a Tom for snatching.
Perfect.
Cause of victory. Yeah. But you get these new directors, right? But then these new directors are having to stand there and direct people like Jessica Romaine and these seasoned actors. And yeah, it's going to be hard for a new director to tell these seasoned actors how to do it. The problem is sometimes these seasoned actors are directable actors. To get the performance out of them that is needed for the role, they need to be pushed. They need to be directed. They need to be shown and told what to do. And it's not insulting to them. It's not a situation of, oh, you don't know what I'm doing. Let me do my job. I've been doing this for years. A good actor that is directable allows a director, whether they're brand new, fresh out of film school or Steven Spielberg, they allow a director to say, hey, do this. And then when you get that perfect mesh in there is going, hey, do this, but put your spin on it. Let's try this. Okay, you tried it your way. Now let's do it my way and see which one is better. And you push and you get that better performance. Again, I understand budget. I understand, working on it. But when you're working on a series that is now streaming, that is only, 10 episodes long.
Yeah.
You're basically making mini movies at that point. You're not really making a TV show to be shown on TV. The bar is higher. They have to be better. And that is where you push for that. And at the same time, you hit the right notes. If you hit the right sayings at the right times, you don't have to do 30 takes of one scene.
Right.
You just have to go, let's do it this way. Let's do it this way. Okay, this didn't work. That worked. Let's do this. And the beautiful part about a TV series is, say, for example, it didn't really go that well in this episode. You can tweak it in the next episode. Yeah. Even if it's a new director, that new director, because when you bring in new directors for every episode, they see the previous episode before it even airs. They see the dailies. They see how it's going because they have to go along with the story. We're in an age where continuity has to be where it has to be. You can, with Star Trek, it's more fluid. It can change. That's why the whole point of the captain's log is you weren't watching events as they completely unfolded. You were watching events as a log point. So things can be different. But it's just, to me, it just feels like the directors of season 2, I really hope were more on point and push the actors to get more out of them, the characters. Some really good ones that I enjoyed was the characters I was very skeptical about at first. Sung's character. I was very skeptical at first. She annoyed me in the first couple episodes, but then she grew an amazing role to where in this episode, when she shows back up, you're like, yay! Wait,
yeah, I know, I was all excited.
Like, she hasn't really been gone. She left in the last episode, but you're still like, ooh!
I was like, ooh, yeah, Lon's back. Yeah.
When the engineer died last week, it was like,
because, I know.
And then, the doctor, another one who, I don't know if he was directed that way, but that's an actor that was really playing the role. Like he projects the role. Some of these other actors, I think, need better direction.
Yeah.
And I mainly line delivery.
Like Uhura, I think I like the actress a little bit. I think they're trying to develop her character more than it was in the original series. I think they're trying to do more with her.
And that's my thing. I love the way they did Uhura because she's a cadet. She's not.
Yeah, she's not Lieutenant Uhura yet.
She's not Lieutenant Uhura, and they seriously do have a very small window there of utilizing Uhura because even in the original series, she wasn't utilized the way she should have been. She didn't go to all the mission briefings. She was on the bridge the majority of the time.
Yeah.
So to turn around and try to go, they did good, I feel, with how they put her character through and stuff. And being a cadet, being that green kid type situation, sort of like the Ensign Kim of Strange New Worlds, but without making it be like, go back and watch the original series and be like, why are you leaving her on the bridge? Come on, guys. That's one of your best characters. Bring her on the trip. You know what I'm saying? I think they're doing well with keeping her a little bit detached, would be my way of saying it. Yeah. Keeping her character detached from the machine that is everything going on. So when it does come to it, she's like, because in the movies she does. She's right there. It's amazing. Yeah. But in the original series, again,
she just
African American woman being a lead role and stuff in the 60s. Again, they would write this stuff. The network would look at it and go, you can't put that in there, rewrite it. And those characters got nerfed real bad.
Yeah, so now it's all,
I would like to see her character get more attention. But again, you've got a very small window there before you're doing a disservice to her character in the original series, which, yes, had a disservice done to her with the writing back then, but at the same time, her character is such an integral part of our culture that the last thing we want to do is make it to where people can't watch Nichelle Nichols play Uhura.
Well, that's the thing. Harlequin used the word, they're calling them legacy characters now. Like Uhura, when Sulu comes in, Kirk, Pike, they're all legacy characters. You know what's going to happen because you know what happens in the original series, but I think they're trying to get a little more out of the characters.
Yeah.
Like, I will say J.J. Abrams got a lot more out of Uhura
and
than
he could.
Anybody so far.
And he could, because he didn't have that small window to work with.
Right.
He could have Uhura become the captain of a starship by the fourth movie.
Right.
He literally could. It doesn't matter. And that's amazing. But you can't make, in 7 years, you gotta keep in mind that in 7 years, Uhura only goes from being a cadet to a lieutenant.
Yeah.
That's a 7-year period. She only goes from being a cadet to a lieutenant. So you can't make her this extravagant, amazing character that's going out and saving the day every week, because her character can't. It doesn't have the window to do that. It doesn't have the opening to do that. I think if they go more of focusing more on her linguistic abilities without destroying the undiscovered country situation.
That got me too a little bit too.
The joking scene where they're sitting there on a starship in the future and they're going through books to try to translate Klingon. Yeah.
That's the one thing that always got me with Star Trek. And we were talking about it the other night. How come, like I pointed it out on Deep Space Nine, Gowron's looking at Sisko over the intercom. He was just speaking to him just fine. Then all of a sudden he says something in Klingon. And Sisko has to be like, well, what did he say? He was always speaking Klingon, and the universal translator was translating it to English. Just because he decided to say something else, why did it come up as Klingon that time?
Here is where I think we have an opportunity. Come on, Star Trek writers. Watch this stream. Here's where I think we have an opportunity to have a little retcon to fix that.
Yeah.
Klingon dialects that are not recorded by the universal translator can't decode. Sort of like a coding type situation.
But you figure by Deep Space Nine time frame, they should have all the dialects of Klingon.
No. Because here's the situation. It's more of a coding dialect. Think of a Section 31. It's a dialect that is not. It is a top secret. It is a classified dialect that some people can use. No, and it would alter if the universal translator does pick it up. You would alter it. I would see it as a tactical advantage over your enemy. A tactical.
Speaking of dialects,
a tactical advantage over your enemy to have a dialect, to have a way to speak where their universal translator cannot get what you're saying in case you were overheard. So, and that's how I sort of look at it in that sense. And I would like to just, if I were writing it, I would make it like if I did Undiscovered Country and somebody came to me was like, why did they have books? Be like, well, you see, certain dialects were classified, and because of the situation of Kirk and Spock, the Enterprise couldn't access those classified dialects. On top of the situation that there were documents that were put onto the Enterprise for the mission they were on that would have certain dialects that were not in the universal translator, and Uhura, being a linguist, was trying to figure out which dialects to use to get through Klingon space without seeming like they were imposters.
I could see it working on Enterprise. I can even see it working through Strange New Worlds, TOS, that kind of thing. But by the time the Next Generation came around and the Klingons were the allies and all that stuff, and someone pointed it out in Wrath of Khan when Spock and Saavik were speaking Vulcan and you heard them in Vulcan. I'm like, yeah, but they're talking to each other. They are both Vulcan. That's what they hear. But it just gets me when all of a sudden, like when they first meet Worf and Dax says something to him in Klingon. it loses something in the translation. I'm like, no, it doesn't. There's a translator right there to pick it up.
The thing is, it loses something in the translation.
Yeah, yeah.
You heard what she said to Worf.
Yeah.
But you didn't hear what they heard because it didn't make sense. So,
I could go with that.
Like how the Queen says, some things from one language don't translate cleanly into other languages at all. And
That's
so
true.
there's so many other aspects that could be involved in there. You know, we can utilize that thought process.
Yeah, I can go with that. That's a better explanation than I'm just thinking. Okay,
Better explanation than having a secret than having a classified dialect that you utilize as a
all I'm doing is getting frustrated because I'm like, they all have universal translators built in. What the hell? So, I'm just like, and it's just
exactly. If a Klingon pulls out their version of Latin, the universal translator may not get it. You start speaking slang, and a translator may not understand the slang. It
was funny when Mark Okran was talking about creating the Klingon language. There's no verb to be in Klingon, and yet they had to translate Shakespeare to be or not to be. I thought that was the best thing I ever heard.
Yeah. So
granted, I can understand it coming from that point of view now, but it just wasn't clicking because this is the shit I think of when I can't sleep at night.
Trust me. Have you not seen the fury out there about the Gorn? Oh, the Gorn looked horrible. Those aren't our Gorn, blah, blah, blah. Like seriously, I want to make a Star Trek episode where we have, the characters of pirates, Okay, I want to make a Star Trek episode where it's from the mental, or not a Star Trek, but just a sci-fi episode where it's a different race going through and they come across an alien species. And this alien species is from Earth and they're called humans. And the captain of the ship is Peter Dinklage, right? Right?
Yeah.
And that's all you see in that episode. Then I want to make another episode where it's a prequel episode, takes place before that, and a different character comes across this character from Earth, and it's
like Schwarzenegger.
Arnold Schwarzenegger. No, not even Arnold Schwarzenegger. Let's go with Dwayne Johnson or an actor like that. Like,
yeah,
and see if the fan base of that show goes, that's not what they looked like. Humans were short, and they were no. Different races exist within a species. Different looks, different styles. It's like, come on. Like so many people throwing a fit about this stuff. Vin Diesel. I was thinking more of going with an older Carl Weathers style.
Yeah.
That complete night and day type.
Yeah.
Not night and day in that sense, but night and day.
I know what you mean. I know.
That's one thing that annoys me with some Star Trek fans is they'll look at it and go, that character can't look like that. I kid you not, bring out, you watch Discovery. Yeah, I had the issue with the ridges like you did. I did. I had the issue with the ridges. But you know how many people threw a fit because there were white Klingons?
But there was only one. There was only one white Klingon.
You can't have different races in another culture or in an alien culture. No.
Well, that was the big episode. That was the big issue from the Klingons from
Danny Trejo,
the motion picture. Yeah, the big issue with the Klingons from the motion picture into the Next Generation, because they all had the same ridges. Everything was the same in the motion picture, and then in the Next Generation in Deep Space Nine, okay, that was how you identified your family line from your ridge pattern. Yeah. And then everybody was like, his ridges are different. Why aren't they like that? And everybody, you're never going to please everybody 100%.
Yeah, but it gets annoying because so many people are like, well, it has to do this, or, oh, that's not them. They don't look like that. Like it was a teenage Gorn. He wasn't an adult Gorn yet.
Yeah, he wasn't even really yet.
And two, we don't know, we know the Gorn can reproduce with themselves. We know they utilize other species to reproduce it in a xenomorph style, but we don't know if that type of reproduction alters the appearance of the Gorn.
And let's face it, the only Gorn we really got was a guy in a rubber suit from the 60s.
We've got
the one from Enterprise.
We've gotten the rubber suit Gorn from the 60s, and we've gotten the CGI Gorn from the aughts.
Yeah,
that's it.
That was
Any other time we've seen the Gorn in Trek, They were in full body armor.
I don't remember.
Wait, no, we never did really see the Gorn. It was a different. I was thinking of the other race.
The one in the body armor was the Breen.
The Bree.
All the armor.
Bree. But yeah. But still, either way, we've only seen 2, and they looked completely different. Now, granted, one was a horrible rubber suit. The other one was god awful CGI, cartoony.
Yeah.
But at the same
the only
time,
baseline Gorn they gave us was 66 technology from a rubber suit, and then the CGI one that they tried to play with. That was it. And they don't even bring him up when they were talking about. I noticed that they didn't even bring up Enterprise's Gorn when they were talking in Ready Room about it.
Yeah,
I was a little upset about that, but
I don't think that I think it was one of those things like, no, it was probably brought up in we got this Gorn here, and they were probably all unanimous like no, because that Gorn was god awful, and at the same time, that was an alternate reality Gorn. That was a mirror universe Gorn. That was mirror.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, well, the Gorn was from. Wait, yeah. Because they came from the mirror universe into ours, but in the future.
Mm-hmm.
So he was Actually, he was supposed to be in our universe, Gorn.
It might have been in our universe. It's been a while since I watched it.
Yeah,
still, who knows?
Archer and them came from the mirror universe into ours, but in the future to get the ship. Or the ship passed into the mirror universe, something like that. All right, Lynn. Get some sleep. Lynn. We'll see you next time.
As far as that, good night, Lynn. As far as that goes, I know that what it was that Mirror Darkly. If you're talking, I'm trying to remember. I thought Mirror Darkly took place in the Mirror Universe. I thought the whole thing was Mirror Universe because it was when the sister ship, the one that the Enterprise went to go,
and
the Tholian Web.
Yeah,
when it went through the Tholian Web, it transported to the Mirror Universe in the past. And the
Defiant wasn't
Archer and them finding.
Well, the Defiant that went into the Mirror Universe, was from a different episode. That was where they were shadowing in and out through an anomaly. It wasn't the Tholian Web one. The Tholians came afterwards into the in the Mirror Universe. But the Tholians were the one that captured the Defiant when it came in to the Mirror Universe. That's right. I remember that now.
Yeah, because when it went through the Tholian Web, that was the whole point of Kirk and company trying to find out what happened to the Defiant, and they found out about the Tholian Web.
I thought it was a different episode.
And then it was showing, and then what a Mirror Darkly was showing what happened to the Defiant. It
went
into the Mirror Universe, and Mirror Archer and them found it.
Yeah.
But
I wish they would have did more. I thought it was cool that they had Giorgio was the Emperor in Discovery's universe because of Hoshi Sato taking over back then in Enterprise. Empress Sato. I thought that was pretty good.
Yeah, and like I said, I would love to see it just. I would love to see Abrams go with Mirror Universe situation.
Yeah.
But overall, it just we haven't seen all of the Gorn. There can be different races of that race.
Yeah.
That species. They don't all have to look alike. I mean, you want to talk about difference in species. Romulans and Vulcans are the same.
Close, yeah.
All different. They all came from the same species. If the Romulans had never said we're Romulans because we went to Romulus and stuck with saying we're still Vulcans, then we'd have two completely different offshoots of Vulcans.
I remember in the original series, they all looked the same. It wasn't until the Next Generation they gave them the ridge, the forehead ridge.
I will say this. In the original series, Romulans and Vulcans looked so similar that, I swear, the Romulan in the episode, today's episode of Strange New Worlds went, but if you go back and watch the original series, I swear that guy could be Spock's dad. That's how close they look together. I'm telling you, something that looks like, I swear that could be Spock's dad.
Imagine
no
that.
They're like, Spock, are you that's your dad on the screen, man.
That was funny. I was trying to explain that today to the kids, and they're like, "What?" I'm like, "No,
What?
that's Yeah, it wasn't until the next generation when they gave the
kids,
Romulans
we're
the
gonna go back
foreheads.
and watch the original series. Why does he look familiar? Well, that's Mark Leonard, because in Star Trek they've got a history of multicasting a role to the same actor, and Mark Leonard, being the amazing actor he was, started off in Trek playing the Romulan, the first Romulan we get to see, and they're like, "You did an amazing job. Come back as Sarek." Okay.
Wait, we need a character in the motion picture too who played the Klingon captain. Mark Leonard was the Klingon captain in the motion picture.
Yes, he was. But yeah, Hollow Queen, we're gonna call it here in about.
Yeah, we're gonna call it here too tonight.
But yeah, no, it's been fun. Next week we'll be back. We'll talk about some more stuff, and thank you guys for joining. Remember, hit the like, thumbs up, subscribe, all the fun jazz. So, as always, guys, live long and prosper. This is the way.
The way. See ya.